Okay, coming up more from 10 Mile Christian Church, but we're going to go to a young man by the name of Bronco Bleymaier on YouTube. And this young man is such a big Boise State fan. I think he lives in Florida or in the South. I don't know much about him. I'm a fan of his on social media, but I believe he's in town, and he basically carries the banner for our area wherever he is. Bronco Bleymaier, welcome to KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be here.
Well, now tell me a little bit about yourself, and for people that 95% of the folks listening, we're going to raise awareness for your YouTube channel, but now you live out of state and you visit Boise State and you love Boise State. Can you tell us a little bit about your fandom here?
Yeah, absolutely. So you got it right, Bronco Bleymaier. That's the YouTube channel. You can look me up. I'm also on Twitter, available on that name. But yeah, I've been a major Boise State fan ever since I was born. My great uncle was Gene Bleymaier, the former athletic director at Boise State. And unfortunately, I don't get the privilege of living in Boise due to my job or growing up, actually. My dad was military, so moved all over. But, you know, growing up when you're a military brat and you're moving all over the country, you don't really have anywhere you call home. You know, you're moving every 2 years and there's no real base for you. But there was one place that was always home for us that we visited every year, and that was Boise, Idaho. So even though I didn't get the privilege of being born and raised here, I consider myself a Boise, Idaho, and even if I do say Boise wrong. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Big Boise State fan, always have been, and I do the channel just as a chance to be able to connect with the fandom and get my perspective on the team out.
So you actually are related to the grandfather, the creator of the Blue, Gene Bleymaier, who, you know, and you don't need to hear this from me, bro. He doesn't get enough credit for what he's done. I mean, the top sports site in the country is voted on by folks from USA Today. People all over the world travel to see the Blue. What an incredible honor to be related to that young man.
Absolutely. You know, the Boise State Blue turf, it's been getting a lot of conspiracy hate this last week with UCF coming to town. They kind of reawoken the blue on blue isn't fair argument, which I think is just going to add more to Boise State's chances of winning this Saturday. But yeah, the Boise State Blue turf, it's really what put Boise State on the map. When he had that idea to put it on, you know, nobody had really heard of Boise State before that, and that gave coaches an opportunity to recruit at a little bit of a higher level and raise Boise State's profile, and the rest is history. So yeah, it's like I said, born into the fandom because of that, but I'd be a Boise State fan regardless, because when you look at what this team has done over the last 20-plus years, it's unmatched in new FBS program history. I mean, 3 Fiesta Bowls, you know, multiple undefeated regular seasons, and of course we've kind of stooped away from that the last few years, but I think we're well on track to get back to establishing.
I don't know about that. You know, I'm a professional cynic. However, what's it like for you being a Boise State fan outside of Boise? Because again, it seems to me that the program is bigger outside of Boise, but again, I believe you're in SEC country, and the UCF fans are not known to be very kind. So what's that like to carry the banner of Boise, Idaho outside of Boise, Idaho?
Well, I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday, because we are back in town for the game, and it's always awesome to be able to come back to Boise. But I said, you know, it's weird being surrounded by thousands of other Boise State fans when I'm used to being the #1 fan in the state, because I'm usually one of like 5 or 10 people in the state that are Boise State fans. So it is weird to be away from Bronco country, and that is why I started the YouTube channel. In 2020, I was away from my family doing some training. And it was COVID, and the season had been canceled and all of that. And I was sitting by myself in a hotel room thinking, you know, I need some way to connect with Boise State. I'm not able to watch the games. There's nobody here that's a fan. And so I started the YouTube channel as a way to be able to just connect with the fan base, really, to reach out and to be able to have some way of getting that football energy out. And over the years, it's really transformed into a great opportunity to be able to talk and analyze the program, have former players on, former coaches on. Just had Winston Venable and Grant Hedrick on this last offseason to preview the team. But yeah, it can be tough sometimes, you know, especially I went down to that 2021 UCF game, And I got to tell you, that was not a very friendly environment, very, very hostile. Their students were probably the rudest, vile group of people I've ever interacted with. They were just cursing at us the whole time, throwing beer at us. You know, it was not a great environment. So I'm really hoping that when UCF travels up here on Saturday, that our students, our fan base, will show them how a proper fan base is meant to act and treats them with respect and dignity that they deserve. But yeah, it can be tough sometimes carrying that Boise State banner, but it's great to be back in Boise.
And you do this because you just loved the Broncos. Again, I'm amazed. What's it like to be a fan of Boise and then come visit and, as you said, being surrounded by people of your ilk, sir? I mean, you're carrying the banner, and you got a lot of crazy people in the South. That's where I assume that you're out of. And, you know, you got a team that's not as well funded, but certainly outkicks their coverage. So is there any special place that you go? Is it Big Judd's? Is it, some other place that you go when you're here that is a must for you, sir?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm living down in Florida. The great thing about Boise is that it is a national brand and a national name. It's not like I'm a fan of like San Diego State or something that's only known really in California. So, you know, everywhere I go, people have an opinion on the blue, and that is able to spark some conversation and discussion. But it is awesome being able to come home. It's kind of like, you know, coming back to the roots, coming back to the source, being able to be surrounded by others of the same ilk, like you said. But yeah, when I come home, there's a couple of places I always stop by right away. Grew up going to my whole life. Big Fun and Boise Fry Company. I'm going to be going there hopefully today. The food in Boise, Idaho. I've lived in. So like I said, my dad was military. I've lived in 11 different states. Had 18 homes in 27 years. Traveled to 44 out of the 50 states in the U.S. And I don't think I've been to a place in America that has better food than Boise, Idaho. I mean, they have everything that you could want. They have great burgers, they have great steak, they have really good Mexican food, great international flavor. The first time I ever had Egyptian food was actually here at Boise, a restaurant that's not open anymore, unfortunately. But there are some great locations to go to, and for any fans in town, I definitely recommend trying out all the different local areas.
Bronco Bleymaier with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Final question. I don't know how many people from UCF are coming, but they are obnoxious. Am I underselling the obnoxiousness of the UCF fans?
Well, I do want to say this. I have always been a big UCF hater ever since they claimed that fake national championship and went through all that marketing and that ego. But I will say this, even though going down to that 2021 UCF game was a rough environment from, you know, the 25 and younger crowd, the older group were fantastic. Like the 30 and above fandom there were very respectful overall, very, very welcoming, very knowledgeable about Boise State and about their own fandom. So I think those that are visiting, those that, you know, can afford to make the trip that aren't students, are probably going to be of a little bit of a higher quality. I do think that they need to be taken down a peg, and I hope that Boise State does that to them this weekend. But I am expecting that overall they'll probably be a pretty good environment. Hopefully Boise State fans will treat them well and give them a good, welcoming environment. I understand you said that was the last question. I just want to make sure I can make one last statement before I get off the air.
Well, look, Bronco Bleymaier, you're already taking over the airwaves, so yeah, no worries. I was going to ask you, is this your only home game of the year? Or are you coming back at all?
No, this unfortunately is the only one I'm going to be able to fly up for. It's pretty expensive coming up, but I do make one game a year for Boise State that I can, then if they end up playing near me, I end up going to it. But I don't know how much longer I got on the radio, so I want to make sure that I close with the right way. That's how I close all video or interviews that I'm on. Make sure that you guys attend the Boise State game this Saturday. Make sure you like, subscribe to the Bronco Bleymaier channel, and go Big Blue!
How about some love for Kevin Miller that's a big fan of yours, Bronco?
Absolutely. Make sure that you follow Kevin Miller on his Twitter account. Make sure that you follow this to KIDO Talk Radio. And thanks so much for having me on. This is a great time.
No, we're going to have you back because you're one of the untold stories. And it goes beyond just football, but the community of Boise, Idaho. So welcome back. I'll be following your adventures. And Bronco Bleymaier, we appreciate you, and thank you for taking time to join us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. Go Broncos, and let's get that win versus UCF.
All right. Thank you. There we have it. Bronco Bleymaier, YouTube, Twitter, a very nice young man. And we take for granted what we have here. This guy flies in from Florida just to be in Boise, Idaho. But